Hey all, I wanted to talk tires a little bit. This thing has the IRC GP-21 and 22 called the Footloose, also called the Footloose, and I think they're okay. You know, I think they're pretty good tires. They grip on the pavement. They do okay on the gravel. You know, not frightening or anything. I'm sure there's places that they're not particularly awesome, especially with 22 PSI in them, but you know, when I was waiting for this thing, my other bike has mousses in the tires, and I just love not having to worry about flats, especially when I'm riding around in the city on these, you know, improvised trails sometimes that are littered with garbage and from people dumping. And it's so nice to know I don't need tools with me for tire changing, and I don't need to worry about getting a flat. I'm pretty much always going to make it home, you know, from around the city, and it's not going to be tire related if I don't make it home. So, but I thought long and hard about, I'm going to put mousses in this thing. I love that, but after feeling this thing in the corners with the right air pressure in the tires, I think that mousses would waste a lot of the fun I have on this bike. You know what I mean? If it would be a different story if I lived somewhere where I was adjacent to the forest or dirt roads, especially rocky stuff. If I was riding dirt every day, you know, I'd probably have mousses and just give up on the cornering potential of this bike a little bit. But I think mousses would be a waste, and you know, I was even considering putting them on these tires. Just because they're fine, you know, as a dual purpose tire, they'll be fine, you know, because I don't always need the most aggressive tire, and it would be better to have a little better on-road performance. You know, I know a lot of people want to think that they live in a 90-10 world where all of their riding is on dirt, but for me, I'd just be lying to myself if I put full knobs on this thing and dirt tires, because, you know, you rarely see me ride on anything that's dirt at this point. I mean, it takes a little bit of a planning to get to the dirt, more than just going for a ride after dinner, you know, takes. So I don't know. I think my buddy has had the Dunlop 605s before, and that's pretty much a similar looking tire to this. He's got the 244 and a Kenda 270 or something on there right now. Not a 270, I don't know. He's got some other tires that he's pretty happy with that are a 50-50 tire, but that D605 came stock on the KLX, so, you know, we've had some practice with that. It's a pretty good tire, 50-50 tire. I don't know, I left the stock T-dub tires on until I started washing the front one out all the time in the winter, and that thing got scrapped immediately for a much more aggressive tire. But, you know, this has 1821 wheels. There's a million options. It definitely wheelies better with a Mousse in it. You know, you just get better traction. And but through the corners you're going to suffer. You know, as the Mousse starts wearing out, it starts rolling over, and I think I would probably be worried about it if I rode all the way across the state at 80 miles an hour or whatever, just maxed out. You know, this is going to have less vibration due to the tires. I can put some tire balancing compound in there with the goo in it, like what do they call it? Wow, this is a lot more fun than it was last time I came through here, let me tell you. I've never been through here this slow. This is ridiculous. Anyway, to get a good idea of the low-speed handling of the bike. Anyway, on the tires, I think they're good. They stick. I got about 600 miles. They've got a little bit of rounding on the edges and stuff, but I expect they'll last 6,000 or something, and they're cheap enough that when I do tires on this thing, I'm going to just do a front and a rear. You know, I'd always prefer to have more front tire traction than rear, because, you know, it's okay if you get this back end sideways, but when you get the front end sideways, that's a little less confidence inspiring. So You know, if I did go more aggressive, it would probably just be to like a 60/40 tire, but I think these are fine. I mean, I've done hill climbs and done some gravel roads and things like that they've worked fine on. And I know I can always go down on my air pressure if I get into a situation where I don't have the traction to make it out. I can just lower those bars down and get down to get some traction and then air it back up. And who knows, maybe I'll start airing and up and airing down, but I know from my pickup truck experience that I'll rarely air down unless I'm having traction issues. I know it's probably bad for my tires. I had 5 flats in 1 week one time out in Idaho in the Hells Canyon. But you know, I got a puncture kit and I never put my spare on, so I'm fine with that. That's the way I roll. Get a flat, fix it. But you know, knock on wood, I haven't had a whole lot of flats on motorcycles, and I haven't had a whole lot of, and of those flats, I haven't had one that like ruined a trip for me or anything. I did have a flat riding my BMW to Eastern Washington. We got into a big long traffic jam going into this town that's got like a barter fair on Memorial Day weekend, and went through there and rode the shoulder for 15 miles getting into that town or something. And by the time we got to town, we had like hundreds of motorcycles behind us. They were all waiting, but you know, that air-cooled Beamer started clacking and shit when it got warm. So I was like, fuck this, we're riding the shoulder, baby. And I think I picked up the nail or something. We made it where we were going. I put a plug in and the next morning, and we rode the rest of the trip with that plug. And then I got a new tire. Fuck, man, that new tire was 3 times as much as both tires for this, you know. A Pirelli Pilot Power, you know, those things are, or Michelin Pilot Power, whatever they are. Road 5, whatever. Expensive tires and awesome. Anyway, have a good night.